All right, welcome guys to the early NBA live stream here. Hope you guys are having a good Super Bowl Sunday so far. Super excited for today. So early slate of NBA games, then lead up to the Super Bowl. Should be a fun day of betting and hopefully winning some money. Hopefully not losing money like I did last night. But yeah, let's go over this 5-game slate. So first we'll take a look at what we know. We'll review the Vegas odds and I'll get to questions at the end. So let's go over what we know so far. Good morning, guys. Thanks for checking out the early stream today. You guys are the true grinders coming in and checking out the early Sunday morning stream. But yeah, so Nerlens Noel, questionable. I think he just got ruled out too. PJ Washington will start. Hornets are starting Ball, Rozier, Hayward, Washington, and Zeller. PJ Washington won't have minutes limit, so I actually think he's an intriguing play. And then let's see, Alex Len will start ahead of Robin Lopez. Alex Lenchok, that's never failed us before in the past. Yeah, Nerlens Noel is out. Rule Neto will play. Doesn't do a ton for me there. Kind of just takes out Ish Smith for the slate today. Let's see. Let me bring up these Vegas odds. I should probably have this up already. A little bit unprepared here. Okay, so Utah and Indiana. It's a 225 over under. The Jazz are 5-point favorites. Obviously, we know Mike Conley is out. Miami and New York, it's a 206.5 over under. The Heat are 6-point favorites. Wizards and Hornets, a 238.5 over under. The Wizards are 1-point favorites. Celtics, Suns, 216 over under. The Suns are 2.5-point favorites. And Kings, Clippers, a 228 over under. The Clippers are actually 8.5-point favorites without Paul George. Found that a little bit surprising. But all right, so let's go team by team here, guys. And then what's going on, guys? Love the streams. Appreciate that. Thank you. All right, so let's go over. Let's go team by team here. I'll talk about the players I like, and then we can get to questions at the end. So starting off with Utah and Indiana. On the Utah side, we'll note Mike Conley is a pretty big boost to Mitchell and Clarkson and Ingles. We're still waiting on the starting lineup news. Someone hinted that it might be Joe Ingles starting for him, but we'll see. I haven't seen any confirmation on that yet. If Donovan Mitchell starts at the point, that's obviously a bigger boost to him. Sure, matchup might not be like the best on the slate, but if Mitchell runs the point, that's just a huge boost to him at 7.9K. I think he's one of the better spend ups of the slate for sure. And I do like Jordan Clarkson, especially if he starts. Either way, I think this is a game where Clarkson probably pushes for 30 minutes. Like whether or not he starts or comes off the bench. If he starts, I have more confidence he plays over 30. If he comes off the bench, there's a chance maybe he plays under 30. But yeah, with no Conley, those 30 minutes are going to go somewhere, right? I don't think Donovan Mitchell is going to play much more. I think the big boost is to Clarkson and it's to Joe Ingles. So Clarkson's a guy that I actually like playing this guy this year. He's been doing a little bit of a better job with the peripherals. In some games, he's kind of scoring dependent, but when he's out there, he's getting a ton of shot attempts up. So if he's going to play closer to the 30-minute mark, we've seen some pretty big games when Clarkson has played over 30 minutes. So yeah, 5.7. I think that's a fair price for Clarkson. I do think he's a good play in the mid-range. Also, Joe Ingles, again, he gets a boost depending on who starts. The minutes have already been trending up for Ingles. I think if he starts, he probably plays over 30. He's a guy that can stuff the stat sheet as well with the assist, right? Just look at the last 4 games of assist. 11 assists, 4 assists, 6 assists, and 6 assists. So Ingles and Clarkson, I do like. Again, depending on the starting lineup, I think both are a play. Like if Ingles starts, I still like Clarkson. If Clarkson starts, I still like Ingles. So I think they're 2 good plays in the mid-range. And then I like Donovan Mitchell at the top. Rudy Gobert, honestly, is to stay away from me. And I kind of talked about this in my video, but even in close games, he's playing under 30 minutes. So can he get there in about 30 minutes? Yeah, of course he can. But I'm prioritizing spending up at guard. So I am not playing Rudy Gobert on this slate. The guy that I actually prefer, and it's weird to say, but I would rather play Derek Favors than Rudy Gobert. I think Derek Favors plays about 20 minutes, 19, 19, 18, 21 minutes the last 4 games. He's got over 20 fantasy points in each of those games. He's a decent point per minute guy. Give me Derek Favors at 3.9 at about 20 minutes over 7.3 of Rudy Gobert for about 28 minutes. Yeah, just give me Favors all day there. Bojan Bogdanovic is a guy I don't play. I know he stuffed the stat sheet at the last game. That is not his game usually. Normally he's pretty reliant in the scoring. This is the type of Bojan Bogdanovic I know. 36 minutes, 10 fantasy points. So I will let others chase. I would rather get to Ingles. I would rather get to Clarkson. I am not going to go to Bojan. And Royce O'Neal is just fine. Like, his role doesn't change a ton. He's a lower usage guy. Would rather go to Ingles or Clarkson at a similar price. All right. On the Indiana side, so not a lot I like here. I think the guy that does stand out to me at first price is Domantas Sabonis. He was a chalk bust that last slate. I mean, some of it was his fault. He wasn't playing great, but also he did not play at all in the fourth quarter. Missed out on a good probably 10 minutes or so. He usually starts the fourth quarter and then plays the whole quarter. So you could argue he missed 12 minutes there. Yeah, sure, the matchup's not great against the Jazz, but this is a guy that has 50-plus fantasy point upside and is at 8-3. He will be low on in the slate. Don't mind going back to the well there for ownership's sake. Brogdon, I just have a hard time playing Brogdon against the Jazz. Would rather get to Mitchell on the opposite side. Would rather get to Westbrook. Would rather get to LaMelo Ball. There's a lot of good guard plays in the slate, so it's like I don't know if I can get to Brogdon. Miles Turner at 6.1. Center is pretty weak today. He probably plays around the 30-minute mark. I guess he's like a fair play. And these like bench guys, like I'm going to stay away. They closed with like the bench that last game, so all these guys kind of got a price increase. And they're most likely not going to do that again. So there's really no chance I'm going to the Indiana bench. All right, next game, Miami and New York. Real quick, though, I'll ask if you guys enjoy the content. If you can hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, that would be greatly, greatly appreciated. Okay, so moving on, Miami and New York. Honestly, I don't have a ton of interest in Miami. I don't. Even with Goran Dragic out, it's just these guys are all kind of secondary plays for me. Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, I think are all fine. Like they're filler guys. If they're a last spend up in, that's okay with me. But I just have a hard time really going out of my way to play them over some of the other stars in the slate. Like, are you going to play Jimmy Butler against the Knicks over Kawhi Leonard with no Paul George against the Kings? I think you guys know the answer to that, right? Kendrick Nunn at 5'8", doesn't matter that Goran Dragic's out. That's too expensive for him. And it's just, there's not a lot. Like Andre Iguodala, I guess, is okay for value. We'd probably get around 20, 25-ish minutes. I think he's fine. Maybe he would be the guy I would look to on the Heat, but really that's it. Like Duncan Robinson, I don't like playing score-independent guys. The price has dropped. If you want to try to buy low, I get it. Like he could play, if he's playing well, they will extend him to over 30 minutes. So like it's at a fair enough price where it's like, all right, you know the risk with Duncan Robinson. You know he's got single-digit fantasy point floor. As long as you know that, he does have 30-plus fantasy point upside if he hits his threes. It doesn't matter if does he hit his threes. On the next side, there's two plays really I'm interested in. Julius Randle 9-2, not a must. I would rank him more as a contrarian play because of the matchup, but 39, 38, and 39 minutes the last three games. I think he's a good safe play with a little bit of upside. And then whichever point guard you feel better about, this is just a headache of a situation. I hate it. Like, can we just remove the Knicks point guards from the slate, please? Because Tom Thibodeau is going to go with a hot hand. If Alfred Payton starts out hot, he will probably play mid-30s minutes. If he starts off bad, like he did the previous 4 games, he will probably be cut to about 20 minutes, and then he will completely bust for you. And then the minutes will go to quickly. So it's been Alf Payton the last couple games. If you want to ride that hot streak, you can. You can go to Alf Payton. He's at 4 or 5. I completely get the Alfred Payton play. Like, if I knew Alfred Payton was going to play 35 minutes today, I would lock him into my lineup. But there is no guarantee to that. Sure, he's played 35 last couple games. There is no guarantee to that. When he has struggled, Tibbs has pulled the plug on him early, right to quickly. So it's just a guessing game. Just like those Toronto stars, right? With Van Fleet, Lowry, and Siakam, right? It's literally there's no rhyme or reason. One of them will absolutely smash, and then one of them will like completely bust. That's literally exactly what's happening with New York. So whichever, you can take a shot here. Just know that there's a good chance, 50-50 chance whoever you play completely ruins your lineup. But there's also a 50-50 chance whoever you play probably wins you a good amount of money. So as long as you're willing to take that risk, go for it. They're going to go the hot hand. So I don't know who's going to play better. If Alfred Payton starts off strong, he should get minutes. Moving on to Washington and Charlotte. So this is by far my favorite game to target. And again, it's not close. I think it's a pretty clear play, or pretty clear game to get exposure to. Brad Beal at 9-3 and Russell Westbrook at below 9K against the Charlotte team in a 240 over-under. Give me all this game. Brad Beal, I think, is one of the best spend-ups of the slate. He shot 1 of 14. Just throw that Miami game out the window. Just don't even worry about that. I literally could care less what happened in the Miami game. I know both Beal and Westbrook busted. It was a complete blowout. They both shot terribly. I do not care at all. Love Westbrook. Love Beal. I think they're two of the best plays of the slate. Honestly, you could play them both together if you just want to full stack this game, which I think is a viable strategy on the slate for GPPs. Rui Hachimura, fine play. Probably plays over 30 minutes. I think he's decent. Where we got to talk about now is Alex Len. So I mentioned I liked him for value, but now he's starting. So what I'm worried about is Alex Len chalk. That has never failed us. Never failed us before. I'm being sarcastic. That literally seems to always fail us whenever he is chalk. But with him starting, I'm guessing we get at least 20 minutes. Guessing. I like the matchup against the Charlotte front court. He's a good point per minute guy. It's just a matter of, can he stay in the game and can he stay out of foul trouble? So I think Len is a good value play, but there's always risk involved there. Now, Robin Lopez coming off the bench, I think they could. Like, maybe it's Mo Wagner that backs him up now with Robin Lopez moving to the bench. Maybe Robin Lopez gets a DNP. We'll see. But I don't really want to risk it on this slate. I will just take the safer play in Alex Len. Denny Avdija at 4K, sure. I think probably gets mid-20s minutes. He does have a pretty low floor. I don't love it, but he's in consideration. And then with Roel Neto back, that just takes Ish Smith out of play for me. On the Charlotte side, I really like the Charlotte Hornets team. This is my favorite team to target on the slate. Gordon Hayward, which is really weird for me to say because I normally don't like targeting this team, but Gordon Hayward, LaMelo Ball, two of my favorite plays in the slate. Gordon Hayward at 8K. He's been a little up and down, but he's got 50-plus fantasy point upside. This is a fantastic matchup, and he should play close to 40 minutes. LaMelo Ball, the answer is yes. I am still tilting about the fact that I played him the previous two games. He has his floor games in both those games. Foul trouble in this game. I finally get off him there against the Jazz, and he goes for 60 fantasy points. I'm fine going back to LaMelo Ball because he's a good point per minute guy. He should play close to 40 minutes. Really like LaMelo. Really like Gordon Hayward. Cody Zeller's just a fine play at 6K. The minutes did go down the last game, which is a little bit worrisome. So that is the one concern with Cody Zeller. But if I knew he was going to play mid-30s minutes, I would like him at 6K. And then PJ Washington with no minutes limit at 5'8", I think is in a pretty intriguing play here in the mid-range. I think he goes forgotten about. You know, kind of what I like doing is when a player gets ruled in late, or like ruled in after lock, they will always be lower owned. Like, sure, it wasn't like super late that he got ruled in, but what, an hour or hour and a half before lock? His ownership won't be that high because people were doing research. They saw that he was questionable last night. So I think he flies under the radar, but they like running him at small ball 5. Washington's not like a huge team. Like, he could, if he plays over 30 minutes, you could see an upside game for PJ Washington. I am very intrigued by him. And I like Terry Rozier a good amount, too, at 5'6". So, really, I like this whole starting 5, as weird as that is to say. But Terry Rozier, sure, the usage is down with them playing alongside LaMelo Ball. But he should play mid to high 30s minutes. And I just think he's a safe play. At 5'6", I think it's a little bit too cheap. So, I like literally the entire starting 5 here. Bridges with PJ Washington back, no thank you. You guys know I'm not going to play Malik Monk at that price, and that's it. So it's the starting 5 with Hayward. I would say, Hayward Ball and Hayward Ball my favorite plays, but then Rozier, Washington the mid range, and then finally Zeller I think is viable if he gets some minutes. So really, really high in the Charlotte Hornets team. Boston and Phoenix. So Jason Tatum I think is one of the better plays of the slate as well at 9.4. You got to make some tough calls with the guys at the top. But with no Brown, no Marcus Smart, the usage will be there. He can stop the stat sheet. I think he's a good play at the top. Also has some interest in Kemba Walker. Will probably play about 30 minutes. He played 32 the last game. I think under 7K, that's a fair price for him. So the top 2 stars of Boston both look pretty solid. Where I'm really interested in, though, is actually the value guys. Daniel Tice and Tristan Thompson. So Daniel Tice got injured the last game. Only played 9 minutes. But previous games, again, that game he was in foul trouble. 28, 35, 29, 27 minutes. So I'm expecting somewhere around close to 30 minutes for him. If we get close to 30 minutes at 4.4K, I think that is too cheap for Daniel Tice. So I actually do like him a good amount for value, and I do like Tristan Thompson too. Now, Tristan Thompson got a little bit extended with the Tice injury. He played 28 minutes the last game. I think those minutes will go down. I think he hovers around the 20 to 25 minute mark, but I still think he's a good value too. And then you can even take a shot on a guy like Robert Williams. This is a riskier play, and it kind of depends on if the minutes will be there. Some games will play like below 10 minutes. Some games will play closer to 20. If he plays closer to 20, there's a really good chance he can go for like 25 to 30 fantasy points. So I have some interest in him as well as a GPP value play. The rest of the value, I don't trust it. So yes, I know Carson Edwards played 30 minutes out of nowhere that last game. Will we get those minutes again? I have absolutely no idea. I know Grant Williams started and played 32 minutes. Will those minutes be there? I have absolutely no idea. I would literally not be surprised if Grant Williams played 10 minutes today. So, and they're both lower usage guys. I mean, Carson Edwards can hit his shots, but like, I just don't have a good feeling on them. So yes, those guys are in play, but I feel more comfortable with those value bigs. On the Phoenix side, not a ton I like here. Paul, Booker, Ayton, all secondary plays for me. If I had to pick one, it would be DeAndre Ayton, just because center's kind of weak today. Bridges, Cam Johnson, Frank Kaminsky's the guy that intrigues me here at 3.7. He started the last game, played 22 minutes. If he starts again, I expect 20 to 25 minutes, which would make him actually a good value play. So yeah, do have some interest there in Frank Kaminsky. He's probably my favorite play on the Phoenix side. Lastly, Sacramento and the Clippers. So the good thing with the Sacramento team is the rotation is really short, right? It's good. Like the main 4 or 5 guys are going to play the majority of the minutes. Fox, Hield, Barnes, Halliburton should all play 35 plus minutes. De'Aaron Fox is always in play for tournaments. I think Hield's a little bit overlooked with the other guards in this play, but he's fine. Hield versus Barnes. I'm speechless about it. I literally don't know what to make of him. He's playing about 40 minutes. He's gone for 40 plus fantasy points the last 3 games. I think he's perfectly fine if you want to go there. Just know there is the realistic floor with him is 15 fantasy points in 40 minutes. And we've seen it multiple times this year. We've seen it a lot last year. So it's I don't know what to make of him right now. Halliburton at 6'2", played 35 minutes the last game. If we're going to get mid-30s minutes from him instead of 30, that makes him a lot better play. He's another guy that can stuff a stat sheet, which I do like. So sure, the price went up, but I think he's a viable play in the mid-range. Holmes is a good GPP play. He's either going to win you big money or he's going to completely wreck your lineup. Just look at the last 4 games. 40, 17, 45, and 17 fantasy points. So the upside is 40 plus with him. The floor is probably about 15. I think he's a good tournament play at 5.6. Whiteside at that price, the only way you consider Whiteside is if you think Holmes gets in some early foul trouble. I know Whiteside went for 35 the last game, but if he only gets 15-ish minutes, I don't know if he can pay off that salary. The way he could is if you get some early Holmes foul trouble. And Bagley, the minutes going down on him, no thank you. Finally, the Clippers. So again, Kawhi Leonard obviously is one of the top plays of the slate with no Paul George in this matchup. Absolutely love him there at that price. That is way too cheap. Centers, Ibaka and Zubac, they're at least viable here because 5.4 and 5K are reasonable prices and center is weak. Batum's an okay play, lower usage guy. He went for 30 plus that last game. Minutes should be there for him. I think he's a fine play, secondary play for me. The guy that does intrigue me here is Marcus Morris at 4.2. He played 28 minutes the last game. I expect 25 to 30 for him. Again, good matchup. I think he's a good value play. Lou Williams at 5K, more of the risky value play. Only played 22 minutes that last game. That's a little bit worrisome. He's hovering around 20 to 23 minutes. Now, he can still get it done. He went for 30 plus fantasy points that last game. He's a good scorer. It's a good matchup. I think you could go there for GBBs. In cash, I don't know if I can pay 5K for him. Reggie Jackson, the minutes have been trending down on him, which is not great. He was in some early foul trouble the last game. I think there's a chance where Reggie, if he plays well, gets extended to 30 plus minutes, right? We saw 35 there against Brooklyn. So they've been a little bit up and down on him, the minutes. I think he's an intriguing tournament play. He's going to be super, super low on, but I think there's a chance that he could play over 30 minutes. It's a fantastic matchup. I'm intrigued by him as a really low owned tournament play. Finally, Luke Kennard. He started the last game, played 26 minutes. Did have 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Honestly, more of an outlier for him, but he should probably start again and probably play mid-20s minutes. I think he's a decent value play as well. So I am pretty high on this Clippers team. It's obviously quiet at the top. You got some interesting value plays too, though, in Marcus Morris, Kennard, a riskier Reggie Jackson, a risky Lou Williams. And that's it. That's it for my breakdown, guys. Let's refresh Fantasy Labs. Let's make sure we're up to date, and then let's get to some questions here. Jay Crowder out. Mike Muscala got a concussion. That was super frustrating. He was that OKC. That was just really tilted me last night, that news. But okay, let's get to some questions here. 300 viewers. Wow, 300 viewers, 63 likes. Let's try to get to 100 before the end of the show. I'll be on for another 10 minutes to answer some questions. Thoughts on Luke Kennard? I think he's a decent value play. If he starts, I expect mid-20s minutes. Suns coach said they're going to use Frank against big front court. I guess Celtics qualify that. Okay, yeah. So Frank Kaminsky, I think, is definitely a decent value play. Luke Kennard season, mid-20s minutes he should be. Lou's starting to get it going now. I think he's a viable tournament play for sure. Len or favors for cash. I think I go Len now that he's starting, but there's always risk with Alex Len chalk because he seems to always fail whenever he's popular. So Sabonis would have had a better game if he didn't foul out, sit out. Exactly, yeah. How do you feel about Bam? Contrarian play for me. Bam or Randall? I think I'd rather have Randall, to be honest. Tice or Morris? That's a good question. I'll lean Tice, I guess, but like I like them both for value. Duncan Robinson or Alfred Payton? Alfred Payton, because he has a ceiling of like mid-30s minutes if the minutes are there. No Bam for me. Nunn looks good without Dragic. A little bit too pricey for me. There's too many good guard plays for me to get to Kendrick Nunn. Frank Kaminsky or Marcus Morris? It's also a good question. If Frank Kaminsky starts, it's going to be really close. So we'll see. I'll say Marcus Morris at the moment, but if Kaminsky starts, I do like him. Thoughts on Russell Westbrook, Rozier, Morris, Kaminsky, Tice, Ball, Leonard, Washington? I like that a lot for GBP. As Paris Hilton said, that's hot when Rozier is only 5.6K. Yeah, exactly. Favorite two, Donovan Mitchell, Russ, or LaMelo. Russ and LaMelo. Can you rank them, DK? Tice, Kaminsky, Morris? I honestly don't really have a super strong take there. I think those three are three of the better value plays of the slate. Daniel Tice, Frank Kaminsky, Marcus Morris. Yeah, I don't really have a super strong take on which one I really prefer, but I like them all. Sleeper value picks? I'm trying to think who would be a sleeper. Robert Williams at 3.6K. I think he goes overlooked. If he gets closer to the 20-minute mark, he could realistically go for 20 to 30 fancy points. Let's see. Other sleepers here. I think Derek Favors is an intriguing sleeper. Again, the masses are going to go to Len. They're going to go to Kaminsky, Tice, Thompson. Robert Williams and Derek Favors are going to go a little bit overlooked. But Favors has been playing about 20 minutes a game. I think he's intriguing value. I think Robert Williams is an intriguing sneaky value play. That's probably it for me. Reggie Jackson or Alf Payton? I think I'd rather go Alf and hope the minutes are there. RJ Barrett or Tyler Hero? Tyler Hero for the showdown? Give me Hero there. Clarkson or Rozier? Yeah, you can for sure play Ball and Rozier together. Do we have that Indiana starting lineup news yet? I think that one's almost identical. Like, I really like Clarkson and Rozier in the mid-range. I would say if Clarkson starts, I think I would give the edge to him. If he doesn't, maybe slight edge to Rozier, but I like them both. Mitchell or LaMelo? Again, that's a good question. It depends, like, do you have any other Utah exposure? So if the answer is no, if you have no other Utah exposure, I might lean Donovan Mitchell. But if you have a Clarkson or you have an Ingles, then I think it's very viable to go LaMelo Ball. I really like the upside in LaMelo in that matchup. Bam eats. Holmes or Len? I mean, both are risky, but I'll take the discount on Len and hope the minutes are there. Kaminsky or Len? Again, those two I like a good amount for value. I'll go Len at the moment, but yeah, there's risk involved with both. Halliburton or Rozier? That's a good question. I'll go Rozier. I like the matchup a little bit better for him, but those are two good plays in the mid-range too. Like Rozier, Halliburton, Clarkson. Is Clarkson a lock? No, he's not a lock, but I do like him a good amount in the mid-range. Zeller or Rozier? I think I'd rather go. I think the minutes are more secure for Rozier. You can. Sabonis is going to be low owned, so I am perfectly fine going back there. Bam or Randall? Randall. 4 Hornets, too many with no Wizards. I think you could realistically do it because if Westbrook and Beal both have kind of their floor games, if maybe they both go for like 45 or so, I would say that's realistically their floor in this match when this game stays close is probably 45. If they could both go for 45 and maybe someone off the bench has a nice game to keep it close, that could work out for you. It's obviously a contrarian build playing 4 Hornets and no Wizards, but there's a way that could work out. What you need kind of floor game for Westbrook. You need a floor game for Beal, and you need someone off the bench for the Wizards to have a really good game. Fading Kawhi is pretty risky. I will not lie. All right, sorry, this is going a little bit fast. Tice or Elf? So I think Daniel Tice is the much safer play, Matthew. I think you kind of know that as well. Elf probably is more the upside play if the minutes are there. So it's like, are you willing to take that risk? If he does not play well, they will pull the plug on him. Halliburton or Clarkson? So right now I'll go Clarkson, but I like them both in the mid-range. No on Etuan Moore. Caleb Martin for value, no thank. Lifting Bishops with a $1 super chat. No comment though. Thank you, man. That is not necessary, but really greatly appreciated. GBP is always a risk, DK, otherwise we would win all the time. Yeah, Caleb Martin, I'll pass on Caleb Martin. Len or Zeller, regardless of price. Regardless of price, Zeller, but I prefer the price on Len. Russ and Barnes or Paul and Hayward. Russ and Barnes. Appreciate the early coverage, DK. Of course. If there's an NBA slate, I'll be live. Would you have Rozier and yes, you can. I think you can play Rozier and Ball together. Tatum or Leonard? Leonard. PJ Washington or Clarkson? That's a good question. I like. That's almost a question. I don't know. I am very intrigued by PJ Washington in the slate because the reason I am is I think he goes overlooked with him getting ruled in like late in the day. I don't know. That's a good one. That's a good question. I personally have Clarkson as my last piece into my lineup right now, but like I could realistically go PJ Washington there. I don't know. That's a 50-50. I like them both a lot. Yeah, I think Len's going to be popular. Core, obviously, I got to save the core for Patreon. I'm fading Len. I think you could definitely fade him, right? Chalk Len has really failed a bunch. LaMelo, Kemba, or Westbrook and Clarkson, I have Rozier. I'll go Westbrook and Clarkson there. Alfred Tice it depends what you're playing. If you're shooting for the upside, Alfred Payton probably has a little bit more upside, but like Daniel Tice is the much safer play. Leonard Tice, I would say Tice is safer than Len. You could fade Len. He's a good point per minute guy. It just matter of will the minutes be there. Malik Monk, I wouldn't do it. Kennard or Kaminsky, I would rather have Kaminsky. Whenever they're like, if it's close in price, I'll just prefer the big because a big has a higher floor than a wing or a shooting guard. I would rather go the big. What do you think of Westbrook, Ingles, Leonard, Sabonis, Tice, Rozier, Kaminsky, Len for cash? I don't know if Sabonis is a cash game play. I mean, I guess he does have normally a pretty high floor. I guess that's fine. Like Sabonis is the one fringe guy there. For cash, yeah, I can't stomach playing Alf with that short leash. I mean, that's kind of my approach too. Like, I don't want to lose money on a guessing game, so I'm just going to avoid the Knicks point guard. Is that an XFL hat? You know it, a big XFL guy, excited for the return next year. Yeah, can't say 3 definite. Unfortunately, I can't say that for this stream. Again, got to save some for the Patreon subscribers. Westbrook going to bust again? There's a chance, but 240 over under. Look, do you remember what happened the last time Westbrook was in a 240 over under? I can remind you guys, he was somewhat low owned. Here. 35 minutes, 73 fantasy points. I actually love that he had this game. I love that. 25 minutes, 18. I absolutely love that because that's going to lower the ownership a bit. I'm going right back to Westbrook. I don't care. He literally has enormous upside in this matchup. I think Beal's a good play too. I prefer Westbrook, but I do like Beal. Westbrook, Beal, Tatum locked, yes or no? I think that's fine. Playing both Westbrook and Beal and no run. Like if I'm playing both Westbrook and Beal, I think I just bring it back with someone on the Hornets. All right, guys, one more minute here, and then I got to get out of here. Batum, GPP, fine. Secondary play. I prefer other plays in the mid-range. So I would rather have Clarkson. I would rather have PJ Washington. I would rather have a bunch of those guys we listed in that mid 5K range than Nick Batum. I just think there's way more upside in some of these guys. So Halliburton, PJ Washington, Jordan Clarkson, Holmes, Rozier, Ingles would much rather have all those guys over Nick Batum. Mitchell over Booker for me. Yeah. Clarkson or Ingles, it's basically coin flip for me. I think Clarkson has a little bit more upside if he's hitting his shots. Ingles might be a little bit safer. I think Ingles could do more of the peripherals, but I like them both. Last question here, then I do have to get out of here. Forward for 6,400. 6,400 and forward, let's see. Yeah, see, I don't like this range. I would go PJ Washington. I would go PJ Washington there at 5.8K. I think he's a sneaky play. I do. I think he's a sneaky player with some upside. But, all right, guys, that's going to do it. Enjoy your Super Bowl Sunday. Hope you guys all have a great hope you won some money today in NBA. And I will see you guys all back here Monday for a live stream then.